Hi, this webinar is going to be on mowing safety. My name is PJ Borowski, and I'm a certified industrial hygiene consultant for Kentucky Safe. For the next couple of minutes, we'll discuss how important it is to operate mowing equipment in a safe manner and some of the requirements OSHA has as far as protecting employees. Here are the following objectives for the course. We will only be covering mowing in residential and commercial settings. Also, we'll discuss rollover protection for riding lawnmowers and other engineering controls with landscaping equipment. We will briefly discuss safety for push mowers and string trimmers. Finally, we will talk about personal protective equipment and then close out with noise safety. Agriculture and construction equipment will be covered in another webinar. Here are some statistics. Approximately 90 Americans die per year due to lawn mowing accidents, and about 35,000 Americans are injured. Most of the serious injuries are attributed to rollovers on riding lawnmowers. Common injuries involving mowing include cuts, bruises, and burns, with the more serious injuries causing broken bones, nerve damage, and amputations. The most at-risk population with mowing injuries include male individuals aged between 49 and 69 years old. Here are some of the accidents involved in riding lawnmowers. Reading over these, both accidents were definitely preventable. Ensure all riding lawnmowers are fitted with rollover protective structures, and ensure this type of equipment is always operated in a safe manner. Surveying the terrain prior to mowing is important, as well as knowing the limitation of the mower and the equipment that you are using. The main piece of equipment used to prevent a riding lawnmower from crushing an operator during rollovers are rollover protective structures. Rollover protective structures either come pre-installed on the mower or are optional. These are the bars or rails that extend above the employee's head on riding lawnmowers. If a riding lawnmower does not have rollover protective structures, check around the frame for unused bolt holds or brackets. Retrofits are available for mowers without pre-installed rollover protective structures. If the manufacturer intends the rollover protective structure to be used, the employer shall install this equipment. The operator should always wear a seat belt if rollover protective structures are installed. Most riding lawnmowers also have presence control systems. A presence control system will shut off the blades once the operator dismounts the mower. Never disengage or bypass any safety guard or interlock switch on a riding lawnmower. Like any type of equipment, make sure you always keep riding lawnmowers in good working order. Make sure to follow manufacturer's instructions for preventative maintenance and have employees inspect the mower before each use. Employees should always survey the area they are mowing prior to using a riding lawnmower. Do not operate a riding lawnmower on slopes that exceed the manufacturer's limits, and avoid traveling on slopes that are greater than 15 degrees if you do not know the manufacturer's limits. Some riding lawnmower manufacturers allow mowing on slopes of 22 degrees or less. As far as determining the slope, a slope indicator or clinometer can be used. An example of a slope indicator is on the next slide. Make sure you mow down on approved slopes. Always remove a key when the mower is not in operation, and never leave the mower unattended on a slope. Again, follow the manufacturer's instructions for mowing on slopes. When mowing, keep drive wheels at least 5 feet from hazards. Some hazards include water, embankments, steep slopes, tree trunks, rocks, etc. Push mower or use string trimmers to cut the grass within 5 feet of the hazards mentioned. Here's a good example of a slope indicator. Line up the horizontal line with the fence or level walking surface of a structure. Then line up the vertical line with a tree or upright utility pole. Fold the paper along the lay of the land. You can tell its slope by comparing it to a known slope on the slope indicator. Before employers are required to use a riding lawnmower, they must be provided with training. Training should discuss rollover protection structures, guardings, seat belts, and shields. As discussed earlier, the mower should be operated in a way it was intended, with all the appropriate guarding and equipment that the manufacturer requires. Teach employees how to survey the terrain and have them remove any debris that can be thrown from the mower at people, vehicles, or buildings. Employees should also receive training on the appropriate speed during operation of the mower and require personal protective equipment that is to be used. Along with training for the safe operation of the mower, the employee should also receive training on heat exposure and wildlife such as ticks, mosquitoes, snakes, and spiders. Prior to employees operating push mowers, string trimmers, and leaf blowers, employees should always follow the manufacturer's instructions on how to operate these types of equipment safely. Employees should know the limitations of the equipment and never remove any type of guarding or other protective shielding. Always keep hands, feet, and other body parts away from points of operation when using this type of equipment, and they should always receive similar type of training as far as safe operation of equipment, PPE, wildlife, and heat. Employers shall conduct a PPE hazard assessment to assess what hazards employees may be exposed to while conducting mowing operations. Safety glasses or face shields must be required when employees operate trimmers, leaf blowers, and weed eaters. Work boots or steel toe work boots shall be worn if foot hazards exist. Employees should wear loose-fitting clothing and wear reflective clothing when working around vehicle traffic. Hearing protection must be provided or required depending on the amount of noise employees are exposed to during their work shift. When operating mowing equipment, loud conditions can occur. It is up to the employer to determine what an employee's exposure is to noise during their work shift. As seen in the table above, this is the type of noise an employee can be exposed to when operating certain types of mowing equipment. An employer can determine an employee's exposure to noise by using a sound level meter. A sound level meter will give you an instant reading of what the employee's noise exposure is. To determine the employee's exposure for their full shift, noise monitoring is conducted by an employee wearing a device called a noise dosimeter. Kentucky Safe does provide free noise sampling at an employer's request. If employees are found to be above 85 dBA in an 8-hour shift, the employer must create and implement a written hearing conservation program. The employer shall also provide various types of hearing protection to the employees and provide training on noise hazards and how to properly wear the hearing protection that is provided. Along with these requirements, the employer must also conduct baseline audiograms and conduct annual audiograms to determine hearing loss is occurring while employees are performing their job task. If employees are found to be above 90 dBA in an 8-hour shift, the employer must require employees to wear hearing protection when they are performing their job duties, as well as establish a hearing conservation program, baseline and annual audiograms, and training. There are generally 3 types of hearing protection. There is molded earplugs, foam earplugs, and earmuffs. Each type of earplug or earmuff has its own noise reduction rating. This is usually listed on the packaging. To determine the efficiency of the hearing protection, subtract 7 decibels from the listed noise reduction rating and then divide by 2 to account for error. Then take this number and subtract from the employee's dBA, which is found during full shift monitoring, to see an employee's estimated exposure to noise. If an employee is found to be above 85 or 90 dBA during full shift monitoring, the employer still must follow the requirements of the standard, regardless of what type noise reduction rating of the hearing protection they are wearing during the sampled shift. Here are some standards on some of the subjects that we discussed. The ANSI and ISO standards have some good material as far as how to operate lawn care equipment safely. The 29 CFR 1910 standards cover the OSHA requirements discussed involving personal protective equipment, eye and face protection, foot protection, and occupational noise exposure. Thank you for watching my webinar on mowing safety. If you have any questions on this webinar, feel free to give me a call at 502-229-9765 or email me at the email address above.